TAN Law Solicitors. If you are looking for assistance in any of the following: immigration law, family law, employment law, business and cooperate law, welfare benefits, charity law, litigation, wills, trusts and probate, or looking for a commission of oaths, look no further. TAN Law Solicitors are the ones for you. Please, do not hesitate to call us on 024 776 32323 to be greeted with a professional and friendly service. Thank you. TAN Law Solicitors. If you are looking for assistance in any of the following: immigration law, family law, employment law, business and cooperate law, welfare benefits, charity law, litigation, wills, trusts and probate, or looking for a commission of oaths, look no further. TAN Law Solicitors are the ones for you. Please, do not hesitate to call us on 024 776 32323 to be greeted with a professional and friendly service. Thank you.
Welcome everyone. My name is Antu Nyamayaro. I'm the Principal Solicitor at TAN Law Solicitors, and I am here today to speak about a topic that I was being asked by so many people over the past few days. Recently, in the last few months, the United Kingdom government introduced a visa, added a visa to the points-based system, which is already in the UK already. The visa is called the Health and Social Care Visa, and under that type of visa, there is several types of SOC codes whereby people can come and work in the UK from abroad as nurses, support workers, auxiliary nurses, senior carers, and so forth. So I have been receiving a lot of inquiries since a few days ago when I was on another program doing a live as well. So in terms of this visa for someone to come and work in the UK under the SOC code of being a carer or a senior carer or an auxiliary nurse or a support worker, you need to come having been recruited by someone or a company that has got a sponsor license, a tier 2 sponsor license. From experience, I'm just aware that a lot of companies, especially in the healthcare sector, trying to make applications for this sponsor license. And at our firm, TAN Law Solicitors, we are currently assisting quite a number of firms to make their applications for a tier 2 sponsor license. So if a company has got a tier 2 sponsor license, it can then be able to recruit people from outside the United Kingdom, anywhere from outside the United Kingdom, because they have been given the authority by the Home Office to recruit from abroad. So the questions that I have been asked by people range from what are the qualifications, what are the payments, who is going to meet the expenses, and so forth. So I'll endeavor to answer most of these questions today. As I've been receiving a lot of phone calls and texts and emails regarding this matter. But before I go on the immigration aspect of it, I need to comment really on the recruitment bit of it. In a word, where the Home Office grants a sponsor license to a company, they are basically making that company their agent in making sure that the potential employee or the employee will abide by the immigration rules, will abide by the law in the United Kingdom, and that they meet the requirements of the immigration. So where an employer re-interview someone and they are satisfied that they meet the requirements, it means that they've also satisfied themselves that that person meets all the requirements, including immigration requirements, and then they will generate the sponsor certificate, which they will then use on the application of the employee to then come to the United Kingdom. Some people are under the impression that you just have to come to the United Kingdom and then you just start working as a carer or as a support worker. That is it may true or false. I just want to give a word of advice to people who are serious about coming to the UK using this route. If you want to come to the United Kingdom using this route, I suggest and advise that initially, although there is no formal qualifications that are required under the support worker or a senior carer route, it is advisable, in my view, that you have at least some basic qualifications that you have, particularly that you are coming from outside the United Kingdom. The reason why I say this is the whole purpose of the Secretary of State allowing employers to recruit from outside the United Kingdom is because they want the cream from outside the United Kingdom to come and work within the United Kingdom. So you should be someone who at least exhibit some excellence either in your qualifications or in your experience, because if not for that, then the employer can still employ someone who is available in the United Kingdom, unless if the employer or that area does not have sufficient people making applications and the employer is really forced to try to get people from outside the United Kingdom. Most of the jobs in the care sector would require you to have some basic knowledge or experience of the care sector itself. So some employers might say, if they were recruiting from the United Kingdom, they might need someone who has got an NVQ3, or they would train them towards that level, or they've got some mandatory courses that they want their employees to do. So in that case, some of the mandatory courses might be health and safety, food hygiene, first aid, and so forth, depending on the specialty of the potential employer. So it is advisable, in my view, that someone should really have some basic qualifications out there. And I would say maybe maths and English as a minimum qualification at GCSE level. And I say English because one of the requirements under the immigration rules is that you need to then pass the English test. If you are to come under this type of visa, you need to pass at least at level B1 or above the English test. It will be one of the requirements that you need to have. And also to try to have some training or qualification that you have to show that you have got experience in this sector. I understand that, for example, people who are in Zimbabwe, you've got training facilities such as St. John's Ambulance, or some are being trained at the general hospitals or at residential or nursing homes available in Zimbabwe, and likewise people who are in South Africa as well. You can find somewhere where you can get training. Some of it might be a week or 2 weeks or longer than that, the training, depending on what course that you are doing. If you are not already in the healthcare sector, whichever country you are, you might have to consider doing voluntary work so that your CV is good enough for a potential employer here in the United Kingdom. They will see that you've got the qualification or you've got the experience, although they will further train you to meet their own minimum requirements in the UK, but at least they can justify themselves to the Home Office and to the government why they chose you instead of an employee who's based here in the United Kingdom. So qualifications, I think, are also important. Experience might also be important. It might not be mandatory, it might not be compulsory, but you are competing against other people. We have got experience, we have got qualifications, and for you to shine under those circumstances, your CV should be a good CV. Having said that as well, I advise people that when making your CV, you have to make your CV making sure that it meets the British standards, and you can go on a website called the Job Center. There is a blog there on how to write a CV on the Job Center, so that the Job Center website, so that you can do a CV that is in line with the CVs that are done here in the United Kingdom. I have seen some CVs that stretches up to 3, 4, 5, 6 pages. And I would, here in the UK, if your CV is 2 pages, that's almost like sufficient. You summarize your experience, your qualifications, and backed up by your cover letter and your certificates and references. References are also very important if someone is going to employ you in this particular type of jobs here in the United Kingdom as well. So your CV should be a CV that is got acceptable standards according to UK standards, because remember, you are competing against other potential candidates based abroad and here in the United Kingdom. People also ask me how much salary is paid. The salary in terms of the immigration will start around 20,000, 20,500 as a minimum salary on which you can be able to be employed for this type of visa. So that will be now depend on the employer on how much they want to pay you if they are going to employ you. So that is about the minimum salary that you can expect to be paid once you are successful as a candidate and you fly over to the United Kingdom to work as an auxiliary nurse, support worker, or a senior carer. The other question that I'm being asked by people is, who is responsible for my costs? And again, this question depends on the agreement that you have with your employer who would have offered you the job. I know that some companies do offer a relocation package. So once you are successful on this type of visa and you've done your interview, you're successful, then some of them might offer you a relocation package, some might not offer you a relocation package. So it will be your own costs to make sure that you travel to the United Kingdom. But even in the event, even though that the employer is going to reimburse you your costs in a relocation package, I would expect you to be able to meet, in my view, some other basic expenses. For example, I've stated that you need to pass the English test, and by the time you're passing the English test, you are not yet employable in the United Kingdom because you don't meet the basic requirements of the visa. You might also need to train for you to get the relevant experience. So if you are to do the training to become a carer, if you are to do the training to do the English test, if you are to do some other traveling to go to places to get experience, voluntary work, or to be working, it means that you are incurring some costs yourself, which therefore you you might be able to, or you should be able to meet yourselves. At that time, really, the employer is not yet on the picture. The employer can just come on the picture when you've submitted your CV to them, they've shortlisted you for an interview, and you've passed the interview and they've offered you the job. And then from that point onwards, the employer can then speak of either offering you a package or not offering you a package. Whilst on that point as well, most of the interviews are now being done online. So I would expect you maybe to have a very good internet connection, because the interviews will be done online. Obviously, we know that there's COVID at the moment, and it's also convenient for most people for them to be done online as well. So, unless if the employer is going to buy the bundles for you to be able to do the interviews, it will be a cost that you're expected to meet. The other question that I am being asked is, how long does the process take? So assuming that you have been offered the job by the employer, the process, when you have submitted your visa application will take about 3-4 weeks to be decided. And after that, you will be given a few days, about maybe 30 days, to then travel to the United Kingdom, where you then collect your biometric card, and then you will then start to work there. So you expect about 3 or so weeks for the visa decision to be made. But maybe the process, if you are going to consider from the point of recruitment, it might be longer, depending on how long and what processes the employer is going to require for them to then be able to employ you. So in terms of the basic requirements of the visa itself, you need to do the English test. You will also need to be tested for TB. You will also be able to be expected to maintain yourself and to have some money in your account for at least 28 days prior to the application. You're expected to have around £1,270 in your account. Whether or not it will be your money or the employer will have given you the money, it's neither here nor there, but they want to see the money at least 20 days before you make the application, or immediately prior to the application. You are also expected to have a police clearance, so you need to be cleared by the police. If you are in Zimbabwe or South Africa, or whichever country you are, you need to have a police clearance. And if you've been in another country 12 months prior to your application, then you will be expected again to produce a police clearance for that other country or countries that you have stayed. So the police clearance is also a requirement. Once you are successful, I'm just touching on the main requirements of this type of visa. I see a lot of questions that are coming in, which I will respond to when I finish my address first, and some of them will also get answers to give answers to what I am discussing at the moment. Once you satisfy these requirements and your employer is happy with you, you have passed the interview, then the employer can generate what is called a sponsor certificate, and then you make your application online. At that stage, if you require the services of TANLAW solicitors, we can help you do the visa application, and then you can submit your application. We submit the TB test, the English test. We cite the sponsor certificate on the application, or the relevant information, how you meet the requirements, your qualifications, and so forth, why you have been chosen, and so forth. We do a cover letter, which we will then also submit. And then the visa will be decided about 3 to 4 weeks after that, and then you then come to the United Kingdom. Once your visa is successful, you are also able to make applications for your family. If you want your family to come over, your dependents, your husband, wife, your children, or people, your immediate family who are dependent on you, you can also make an application for them to come and join you in the United Kingdom. So I'll just take this time to just try to peruse through the comments and answer as much as I can on the comments section. So if you bear with me, I can then answer your questions which have come through. Someone is saying, I'm living in Dubai. How can I make it there? If you want to come here under the basis of the visa that we are discussing about, then you need to satisfy the immigration rules that we have discussed. You need to pass your English test. You need to be TB tested. You need to have your maintenance money. You need to have been offered a job by an employer who has got a tier 2 license. And under those circumstances, then you'll be able to come, and then you'll be able to also bring over your family if you've got a family. If, however, you are asking in relation to other routes of visas, you might be able to come to the United Kingdom under the visitor's visa or a student visa, or if you've got money to invest in the United Kingdom, about 50K or so, you can come and do your investments in the United Kingdom. Or if you've got family, a spouse, or children in the United Kingdom, you can be able to come and join them. If you are a nurse, do you still need to write the English test? Yes, you still need to write the English test, even if you are a nurse. Unfortunately, Zimbabwe, and I think South Africa as well, is not on the countries that are recognized as English-speaking countries in the United Kingdom. So you will need to pass the English test. So yes, that's a requirement. What other agencies are there for people to apply? There are some companies that already have tier 2 sponsor licenses that are advertising that they are recruiting people, and there is also different agencies that are recruiting people on behalf of employers such as the NHS. So it's a matter of maybe going on Google and searching, or if you want my contact details on the page there. If you want to contact us with your CV, your cover letter, and then we can be able to see if we can be able to help in that regard. But there are different companies that are recruiting, or at least agencies that you have won tenders with the big companies or organizations, and they're recruiting on their behalf. So someone is saying, so people don't have O-level don't qualify. I didn't say that people don't have O-level don't qualify, but I said that you face stiff competition, and there is no stated qualification for this type of visa. But all I know is that there is some mandatory training that you need to have. If you're in the UK, and I'll expect some employers to use the same standards or even more stricter standards if they are going to recruit someone from abroad. So they might want you to do some basic mandatory training, to have a basic understanding of English through the English test. You've done some qualifications, and maybe you've got experience of what you're going to do. Imagine a company that is dealing with people who have got dementia. You should be able to handle people who have got dementia, or people who are in the wheelchair, or people who have got young vulnerable kids who have got mental health, learning disabilities and things like that. So you should be able to be able to deal with those people. And I can understand that a prudent employer would look at those things before they can employ you, because it is an investment to bring someone from outside the UK to bring them over. It's quite a big investment and a lot of costs involved. And the employer would want a reassurance that you will be able to do the job. And they will also be putting their neck on the line, because if you are not able to do the job, then they face themselves potential legal claims, deregistration, and so forth, because they are registered with regulatory bodies such as the CQC, and they also have some standards that they have to follow under ISO and so forth. So an employer would really employ someone, in my view, that they think that they are cut for the job. Does anyone have information about nurses in Zimbabwe applying to work in the United Kingdom? Yes, there are some nurses that are coming over from Zimbabwe, coming to work in the United Kingdom, and they are coming to work either for private companies or for the NHS. So the recruitment of nurses has been going for a while. What is relatively new is the recruitment of carers and support workers, which is why there is a flood of people or companies making applications for tier 2 sponsor licenses, so that they'll be able to employ people from outside the country, from outside the United Kingdom. It's relatively new, and a lot of employers are putting systems in place, applying for sponsor licenses, and hopefully we'll start recruiting soon. On Monday, I think I was on a live program for another company that is recruiting in the United Kingdom. We have got their sponsor license. So yes, companies are recruiting. Someone is asking, how do you apply for a nursing job from Zimbabwe? The first thing is you need to identify a potential employer. And once you identify a potential employer, they will have their contact details, where you will then contact them or email them your documents. If they're interested in you, then they will then shortlist you for an interview. And if you pass the interview, then they will give you the sponsor certificate, and then you will then be able to apply for your visa, and then you will be able to come to the United Kingdom, or come with your family as well if you want to bring over your family. By English, do you mean the test ILETS? Yeah, by English, we mean the at the moment for the support worker or carer, it's the B1 English test. So yes, if as long as you pass the English test at B1 level, which is not a very difficult level really, then you can be able to come to the United Kingdom. Well, to take passports now in Zimbabwe, when they are taking long to come, if they are to go for the job or after the job. I think you need to have your passport. You can't not really have your passport if you want to come, because the passport, the employer, that's part of the due diligence that an employer will do, to see that you have got all your documents in place, because otherwise there won't be any need to employ you if there is no certainty on how you can come. So I would advise that you should have your passport. And you will also need to have your police check. Like I said, you need a police check in the country where you are staying. And if you're in another country in the past 12 months or of 12 prior months, then you also need a police check for that particular country as well. So a police check is part of the requirements of this visa. And once you arrive in the UK, or rather, let me phrase it this way. Here in the United Kingdom, if you work with vulnerable adults and vulnerable young people, yeah, it is mandatory that you be checked. So there's what is called a DBS, a disclosure that you need to make. So even if you've got your police clearance and you come to the United Kingdom, your employer would also want to do a DBS, or might want to do a DBS if they so wish, so that you can also have a clearance in the United Kingdom for you to be able to work with vulnerable adults and vulnerable young people. So a police check is part of the job, part of the requirements that you need to satisfy. The list of the employers who have got sponsor licenses are on the sponsor register. So the sponsor register is online. If you go on a search engine and you just type in sponsor register for UK employers or immigration sponsor register, you should be able to generate a result with the sponsor register. It's quite a big document, several thousands of pages, but with time you can be able to screen through. That is where some people come in who are recruitment agents, who are recruiting on behalf of the organizations, because they take time to screen through the sponsor register, and they will take time to screen through CVs and other the documents which they receive, the emails, and then they can guide you on getting employable in the United Kingdom. They will help you with interview tips. They will help you on how to structure your CV and everything else. So that avoiding to mention specific names that you, as an employee, potential employee, you have to exercise your own due diligence so that you will be scammed, because there are also scammers out there who will promise you to deliver, or you can end up losing your hard-earned cash. So companies are there that are recruiting, companies are there that are helping people to be recruited, and recruitment agencies also there that can help you in that regard. The sponsor register has got all the names of companies that have got a sponsor license, and it's also important maybe for you to check if you're going to deal with another company to see if they've got any registration. They're registered under the company's house. Are they regulated in any way or form? Are they, for example, do they have a CQC? And do they have an international standard, ISOs and so forth? So you just have to be careful. There's so many people who might be scammers online. So yeah, employers are there, and also there is also recruitment agencies. So the money that will be showing in your account for the last 28 days is almost equivalent. I think it's 1,270. Someone is stating 1,400, but it's around that figure which you should have for the 28 days prior to your application. So some people face challenges in this regard because they don't have official or formal bank accounts. They rely on mobile money, cash wallets in a mobile phone, and they can't really generate bank statements from a mainstream bank. So if you're deciding to do this type of application, then you might consider for those 20 days to have a mainstream bank account which you can put the money and then prove that you've got the maintenance money. If you've got another qualification in English and you don't want to write the English test, you can send your qualification to NARIC, and NARIC can then vet or check your qualification, and then they can see whether or not it meets the requirements. They will give a certificate or a letter to confirm that your qualification that you have is at the accepted level to meet the English test. So if you cannot do the English test, you might consider sending your qualifications to NARIC, and NARIC can then confirm whether or not that will satisfy the English requirement. So the other comments that I would want to make is that even if you sometimes might not be able to meet the requirements of this particular type of visa, you might consider other ways of coming to the United Kingdom. And then once you're in the United Kingdom, you can be able to work as a support worker or as a carer. If, for example, you are able to come as a student, you are allowed 20 hours during term school term to work. On holiday, you can work more than that, or you can, if you even when you come on a tier 2 sponsor license for another company, you are allowed to work an additional, I think, 20 hours as well for another alternative employer, as long as you have notified your employer who just got the tier 2 license that you're working for them, or you can do overtime with them for an additional 20 hours or so. You can consider, if you've got family, husband, wife, children in the United Kingdom, you can consider joining them, and then you can still work as a carer in the United Kingdom. I have written blogs that are on our website, www.tanlaw.co.uk, about this visa. So if you want detailed information about this type of visa, go on our website under news. You will be able to see the blogs that I have written, or if you want me to send them to you, if you send a WhatsApp message, I can forward you the blogs that I have done in regard to the healthcare and social care visas, the support workers visa, the carers visas. I've also written a blog for companies to be able to apply for sponsor licenses if there's any potential employer who wants more information. I've got a blog on that is on our website, and I'll be able to either email or forward it to you on WhatsApp. Okay, I'm just perusing through the comments to see if there's anything that I need to respond to. Again, like I said, there are companies that are recruiting, there are organizations that are recruiting in their own right. The NHS, which is the biggest healthcare recruiter in the healthcare company or organization in the United Kingdom, is always recruiting, but you are also competing with people from other countries or from the United Kingdom. They are also specialist recruitment agencies that also help people help you link you up with potential employers, and they will also help you prepare for the interviews, prepare your CVs, give you tips, teach you on English etiquette, and so forth. So it is available out there. And if people want to know who exactly has got a sponsor license, like I said, you can go on the sponsor register. You can check there. There's all the companies for the various SOC codes that are available that you can be able to see. Someone is asking, small house classified as family. The United Kingdom law allows you only to bring one wife. So if small house, it's not, the law does not promote polygamy or whatsoever. So it will be your wife and your children, or your husband and or your partner rather. If I'm to be politically correct, your partner, you see, that can be able to come. I'm not so sure how much the English test is, but if you contact maybe the British Council in Zimbabwe or the test company. They'll be able to tell you how much it is. But all I know is that the English is part of the requirements for the visa. You have to write the English test, or you can have them your English qualification checked by NARIC. And with NARIC checking it, if they certify your qualification to be the level which they require, then you will not do the English test. The IELTS band for the support worker or carer's job is B1. So if you do the B1, you will meet the requirements. Someone is also asking, what training must you do when you don't have any nursing qualification? If you don't have a nursing qualification, like I have said, for the support worker or the carer job, there's not really a requirement of a formal qualification. But bear in mind that you are competing with people who have got experience, certain qualifications from the United Kingdom and the world, all over the world. So you need to have a point where you are standing above the rest. That's why I suggested that if you have at least the basic subjects, maybe for O level, which might be English and Maths, and English also being a requirement of the visa itself, and also try to get some training with either general hospitals or private companies in Zimbabwe or whatever country you are. In Zimbabwe, I think there's St. John's, there's the general hospitals and so forth that can be able to train you. Red Cross, etc. can train you on first aid or carers, auxiliary jobs and so forth. And then if you are not working in the healthcare sector, you might consider doing some voluntary work so that at least your CV looks much stronger than your competition. So if these are some of the things that you might need to consider when you are submitting your CVs to potential employers. Very good question. What about online courses? Are they considered as qualifications or training as well? There are some companies that do online training, which are based in the United Kingdom. One of my clients, they do offer online training and various online training that they do offer. And I think if it is, if you're able to afford it and you've got the connection, you can do the training with them. I think it can be a good qualification to have. I think the only question that the employer might want to be satisfied is that how do they know that you are the one who did the test if it was online? Because anyone can do an online test, and I can do it on behalf of someone, or someone can do it on behalf of someone else. It's not necessarily vetted or checked who is actually doing the test. But I know that there are some online providers which are there, and they do provide very good courses as well. So I mean, as long as they are genuine, it's something that you might have to consider as part of your training as well. I think I've managed to answer most of the questions, and some of the questions that are coming up are repeat questions of what I have said already. What I just need to say in summary is that you just need to be prepared if you are going to make an application for this type of job. It's not something that you just think that today I'm just going to make for this application, tomorrow I get listed for a job, and then the day after I'm already in the United Kingdom. If someone is already in the healthcare sector, they stand at an advantage because they've got the qualifications and the experience. If someone is not in the healthcare sector, even if you try to rush yourself, I would want to think that the employers might not really favor you because you don't have any qualification or experience which is relevant in the sector. So you might consider from now going forward what you're going to do. Are you going to enroll for a particular course in the healthcare sector? Are you going to work in a healthcare environment, whether paid or voluntary work, for a particular period of time? And then you make applications to employers who are relevant to your experience. Here in the United Kingdom, there's a different type of healthcare companies. They do different specialism. Some specialize in vulnerable young adults who are staying in supported accommodation. Some take care of young adults who have got learning disabilities or anyone or elderly people with dementia or learning disabilities or who are disabled or they've got or they're just old but they need some basic care. So you just have to then apply to people who have got the relevant qualifications for you, even though as you would know, with most jobs, experience is transferable. So if you've got experience and in the healthcare sector, experience is transferable, you can still be successful depending on the demands or the requirements of the potential employer. Someone is saying, why do you call it maintenance money? The maintenance money we know in Zimbabwe is child support. The maintenance money is for you to be, it's about 1,270 pounds, I think. It's less than 1,500, between 1,000 and 1,500 in between there. It's the money which they expect you to have at least to maintain yourself for the first month before you get paid. So that is the maintenance money. It is for you, for your upkeep before you get paid, unless if it is required anyway, even if your employer is giving you a relocation package. Some employers would take all the steps to find accommodation for you, make sure that you have got transport from the airport to your house, you've got money to help you settle down, and so forth. And if there's any other training that you need to do further, professional courses, they've already lined them up for you. The mandatory training or any registrations that you need to do, the regulatory body, such as the NMC and so forth, they would have started that process for you. So the maintenance money is to make sure that you will not then immediately want to rely on public funds or on benefits when you've just arrived from Africa. Yeah, so to the person who's saying, is that the WhatsApp number? Yes, that's the WhatsApp number. You can WhatsApp me there, or you can send an email to the email that is on the screen. The website, how do I pin it? But the website is www. Let me just type it out down for you there. Where the blogs, you can go on the news section and you can see the blogs that I've done from the health and social care visa and the support workers visa and the frequently asked questions. I've got an article that I've written for the frequently asked questions, so I can circulate that one as well, which can be helpful to people. So that's the website where I have the articles, www.tanlaw.co.uk. Will your spouse be allowed to work full time if you bring them to the United Kingdom under the visa and the care? Yes, yeah, your spouse will be allowed to work full time. Your children will be allowed to go to school. You will be required to pay well, at least the in the healthcare sector, the IHS you are exempted from paying what is called the IHS, the insurance health surcharge, because you'll be working in the healthcare sector. But for other visas, you are required to pay what is the IHS. And also on that point as well, because you're applying in the healthcare sector, your fees is reduced. You are paying almost like a third of what normal visas pay for. So the visa application is quite cheap um, for the health and care, so and the health and social care visas. You are not allowed to. You are not expected to pay the IHS. Your spouse or partner is allowed to work full time. They are allowed to go into business if they want to do business. Your children are allowed to go to school. You are allowed access to the doctors, the NHS, and things like that. If your partner is going to go to university, then they have to pay the international fees for university, but they are allowed to do all those things. Well, someone is saying, can I bring my own lawyer, Maduku, to litigate my case in the United Kingdom? That should be possible. You should be able to get a special license to do that if you want to do that. But that's an interesting one. How much do you get paid when you are a support worker? That will be a matter of agreement between you and your employer, how much they are going to pay you. But like I said, the minimum salary will be around £20,500. Whether they will pay you on that figure or they will increase it, it's up to the agreement that you make between yourself and your employer. So I cannot really tell you the figure, but I can just tell you the minimum which they can, and that the Home Office at least expects an international carer to be paid if they come to the United Kingdom. There is the jobs. I'm just commenting on mainly on the healthcare and support visa because that's where I'm getting a lot of inquiries at the moment. However, there's under the points-based system and the job shortage list, a lot of jobs are listed under the job shortage list. So if you, for example, if you are a doctor or a nurse or an architect, an accountant in certain areas, an IT specialist, etc. There's a lot of jobs that are mentioned under the job shortage list. So if you go on a search engine, type in a UK job shortage list, you can check whether or not your job is in that particular list, and then you can then see the requirements of that particular SOC code in terms of coming to the United Kingdom. So it's not only the healthcare, even social workers can come to the United Kingdom under this particular type of visa. Okay, so I think I've answered most of the questions. If you've got any questions, the email is on the screen. The phone number is on the screen as well. Where possible, we are able to help you. We'll help you. If we cannot help you, we'll signpost you to the relevant people as much as possible. My name is Andrew Nyamayaro. I'm a lawyer. I'm a solicitor in the United Kingdom. I do immigration, employment, civil litigation, and in our firm we do a lot of things, including drafting of wills, advising to companies and businesses and charity organizations, and we are also commissioners of oath. Thank you so much for tuning in for today. That will bring us to the end of our program. I'll be back again next week on a different topic and maybe together with some guests that I might have. So thank you so much, everyone. If you want further information, Our contact details are there, and you can contact us as you like.